Are you depressed because you missed some of our earlier shows? Well, forget about it. It's not a problem. Here's the good news. If you want to see any of the 70 episodes we've done so far, all you need to do is go to my website. Go to www.vtdacquino.com. You'll find them all. You can see everything from our first episode to our last episode. As for today, what a show we have for you. Are you happy in your job? Do you sometimes feel out of place? Do the people around you make you feel uncomfortable? Well, today, we have a guest who is in a very unusual position. Our guest today is Leslie Jasper. My name is Vin Dacquino. Please meet Leslie Jasper.
Good morning.
Well, good morning. Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
You have an unusual situation.
Yes.
You are a woman in a man's world. Leslie, tell us a little bit about your situation. Who are you? What do you do? And how did what you do become this book called Construction Tales, Volume 1?
My name is Leslie Jasper. I've been a journeywoman electrician. I work in Westchester as well as Fairfield, Connecticut. I decided to write this book since I have 18 years in the trade, and I figured because it's unique, the co-workers that I work with are very interesting, I figured why not write a book about it as well as create my legacy.
Excellent. So you're capturing what it's like to be you, and you're talking about being an electrician. Now, this isn't fixing light bulbs and lamps. This is heavy-duty electrical work, yes?
Yes, I work on commercial and industrial job sites, whatever it may be, whatever size it may be.
So it's hard hat kind of
yes,
work?
Vest, safety glasses. We got to wear your PPE.
So this isn't something you learn in high school electric 101.
No.
How did you get trained for this field?
I enlisted in an apprenticeship program. It's 5.5 years. So once you become fifth year, then they do give you an opportunity to do residential work. So for us, residential work is relatively simple compared to commercial or industrial work.
And residential work is just what we think it is. Sockets and outlets
service changes, yes.
And whatever you need to do, electrical work in and around the house. But you do industrial work as well.
Yes.
And a lot of this training came from the government. Is that right? Were you in the service?
My beginnings, I joined when I was 17. My father had to sign me over to become a U.S. Navy Seabee. So I joined the program 2 weeks after high school, and then learned how to climb poles and do pole top rescue in Port Hueneme, California. Wow.
So you served there. So you got your education, the beginning of your education, in the service.
Yes.
See? Good thing. Good thing. How was that? Did you enjoy that as well? Now, was that also a man's world, or were...
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. It was... My father, I would say, I attribute my humble beginnings with my father, since I used to go work with him in his shop, learned how to service tractor trailers.
Wow.
Yeah, so he never looked at me as not being able to do it. He always used to say, if anything, if you're smart and strong, you could do just anything a guy can do.
Boy, that is so true. It's a new world. You know that's something that I truly believe in. I did a lot of work with Sybil Ludington. Drives me crazy when people call her the female Paul Revere. I'd like to call him the male Sybil Ludington, because courage doesn't come in genders.
No.
It comes in heart and soul. And if you believe that you can do what you can do it.
You're damn right.
There you go. So you go out each day and you go and do what you have to do. You learned your basics in the service. Then did you have to go again to get more training?
Well, that was my 5.5 year apprenticeship.
Wow.
You learn in a classroom about theory, but your hands-on and the different applications are all on-the-job training. So hopefully you get seasoned and you get to go to different jobs where you have different experiences, working with different people because they all have different styles. And hopefully you pick a style that works for you and you adopt it.
Right. Now, the kind of work you do can be pretty dangerous, can it?
Yes, absolutely. You have to be safe. You have to take all precautions and take your job seriously. And
yeah, there's no fooling around. You have to do what you have to do.
Yes.
So there really also is no room for prejudice.
No.
And there's no room for people to say, well, you can't do that, you're a woman. Do you sometimes run into some hard spots where people don't get it?
In the beginning, I would say when I was a first-year apprentice or second-year apprentice, I got some pushback. But bottom line is, if you come into a job ready to work, follow close attention to whomever you're working with, and you're willing to get the job done, you get the job done, and it's great, clean, and it's a finished product. At some point, you get a pass, no matter who you are.
Now, you don't have the kind of job where you go in and you have a nice plush office where you can sit down, sit in front of cameras. When you go to work, you go to work.
Yes.
So you have to face the elements.
Yes.
There's some cold, wet, rainy days.
Yes.
You don't always have a roof over your head.
No.
So talk a little bit about the work you do. I mean, you have to lug things and you have to carry things and lift and all that.
You have to be not afraid to be outside. I've been on deck jobs where you're up on, let's say, the 5th, 7th floor, and the wind is whipping off the sound. It's negative
Wow.
20. You have to be wearing your outdoor gear. You have to be wearing your rubber boots because you could be standing in ankle-deep water. You could be in a trench. It could be pouring down rain. No matter what the condition is, you have to
You
show
have
up
to do your
prepared.
day's work.
You have to do a day's work,
Yep.
and you can't complain about it.
That's right. That's right.
And have fun while you're at it.
And have fun while you're at it. Now, I'm sure there's times when you're uncomfortable in some situations. It doesn't hold you back, though. Not anymore. You kind of got over that.
I forget sometimes that I have a gender attached to me. I just think of myself as a worker and try to work as hard as I can and get the job done. And I really don't think of it sometimes. Sometimes I will remember that, but most of the time I just think of myself as a worker.
Are there other women? I mean, have you ever had other women on your crew?
There are. They come from different backgrounds, different walks of life, but the common thread is that they share, that they want to be there, that they have thick skin, and
That they're part of the crew.
And they're part of the
Period. Doesn't
crew.
make a difference what gender.
yes.
That's a good thing. It's a good thing. Okay, then you did all of this, and you look back and you say, whoa, you know what? That was pretty awesome. I need to document this. And you decided to write this book. Tell me about this book. What does this book help us to learn?
This book covers my apprenticeship 18 years ago when I first got in. I had no idea that I was going to be dealing with a male-dominated environment. I had no idea that I was going to be dealing with coworkers that have no filter on their mouth. They say whatever comes out of their mouth.
So you have to be a little tough-skinned.
Yes, I learned to develop a quick skin, sharp tongue, and a rapid delivery. If somebody tries to zero in on you, you have to quickly let them know that you're not.
Yeah, that you're not going to take their crap.
Yes.
I think I say that. Yeah.
But in a smart.
In a smart and clever way,
Intelligent.
because
Yes.
you're going to have to live with it.
And work
you
with them
don't
again.
need enemies, and especially when you're doing a job that can be dangerous.
Yes.
You can't fool around out there. That's not a place to play.
No.
Okay, so you're working on the job and you're getting through all of this. Where does this book begin? Does it begin in the service?
I touch on it briefly in the beginning. I predominantly go into my first couple of days, couple weeks on the job, how I was treated. In the beginning, nobody would really speak to me. It was
Yes,
limited interaction. There was a few people that actually jumped up and became friends, so now they're lifetime friends.
Oh, that's
But
a good thing.
I go through my humble beginnings, working with the tools as the girl on
Yeah.
the job.
It's funny, I met you through Greg Fontana,
Lovely
who was,
man.
oh my God, one of my 6th grade students. I'm not going to tell you how long ago that was, but it was a while ago. And Greg came to me and said, Mr. Dacquino, you have got to meet this woman. She is different from all the rest. She's written a wonderful book. She's a great co-worker, and she has a story to tell. I was so happy to hear that from him, because there was absolutely nothing in his voice at all that said anything about anything except the fact that you were, in fact, a co-worker. And that's a good thing. I know he's a great electrician. He's also a great kid. I don't know if he's a kid anymore, but in my mind, he'll always be a kid. Your relationship with him, it's important that you have people who believe in you.
Yes.
And you do. You've built some great camaraderie with some of your crew members.
Yes.
Have they ever had to come to battle for you to say, hey, lay off, or hey, shut up?
Yes, I have had that. Yeah, I've had that.
That's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Bullying.
I never forget them.
You know, one of the things that schools have to deal with, I dealt with it my whole life too, bullies. There's always someone out there who needs to prove how less they are than you by trying to pretend that they're so much better. Bullies will be everywhere, and I imagine you have to face them too.
Not so much anymore.
Good.
I
Okay.
do actually, one thing that I have on my side is most guys that I work with size up my muscles, and they say, well, you know, she's got a nice face, but I know if I mess with her, she's gonna make me hurt. And then if she makes me hurt, it's gonna be in front of everyone else, so let me just leave her alone.
Yeah, it's better not to deal with it.
Yes.
I understand that. And sometimes that's how you have to deal with bullies. You just have to go in there and do what you have to do. And I imagine you're very good at what you do. You don't have the kind of job, well, actually you do, the kind of job where you go to the same place every day. Usually your job is wherever the job is, that's where you have to go.
Yes.
But now you've been on the same job for a couple of years now, right?
Yes, I've been very fortunate to have a great crew of guys that I admire and that I respect. We've all worked together for the past couple of years, and it's
So
an
now,
honor.
how does that work on the job? Are you like a specialist? Is there something that you do, like putting the wire into duct work or something? Is there?
I've been known as the data fairy.
The who?
The data fairy.
The data fairy. What is the data fairy?
I do Cat 5, Cat 6, punch downs, installations for whatever it may be, cameras, phone, data.
Cat 5, Cat 6. I have no idea what that means. What is Cat 5, Cat 6?
It's a communication cable where you know, if you want to use a phone or you want to use a computer, fax, whatever it may be, you have cameras. They're usually operated by a Cat 6 cable.
That's interesting. So does that kind of fall into place where certain people do certain things well, so you depend on them?
Yes.
See, that's a good thing.
Accuracy.
Yeah, because that makes you a specialist.
Yes.
And they need what you do.
Yes.
And what you do well. Yeah, so you're part of the crew. And that's good. And it takes a while to get there. Okay, what else did you feel that you had to say in this book? Can you go to this book and find a part to say, this is one of the reasons I wrote this book? I needed to say this. What is the this?
I would say that I've been in environments where I've worked with a person that absolutely hated the concept of me being there, didn't like that I stepped foot on the job, taking a man's job, and then over a period of time, after being dedicated and paying attention to what he wanted, before he would even turn around, I'd hand him tools, material, and over time I won him over. So the one person in particular is in Chapter 7. So by the time he retired, he was on a job that I was on, and it was a pleasure to have him actually say that he was proud of me, that he thought I was a great apprentice and a great journeywoman, and that it was an honor to be on the last job with me. So,
discrimination comes in a lot of colors, a lot of sizes, a lot of shapes. And you're not the first one to have to deal with it. Our Black America, for years, had to suffer. Roy Campanello, who was probably one of the best friends I've ever had, taught me a lot about being who you are. And that you have to wake up in the morning and not say, how are people going to view me today? You have to say, how am I going to feel good about me today? How can I be the best me I can be? Despite the fact that there's some people out there who don't deserve to be friends with me because they don't understand tolerance. And there's a whole lot of people out there who just won't get it, don't get it. So the fact that you can go out there and face who you are, get your job done, and do it is really a credit to you. And the fact that you can put it in writing is also a credit to you, because it gives other people an opportunity to know where you're coming from. And many of those people are coming from the same place. It may not be a gender issue, but it's an issue. It's an issue of people who don't get it. That all of us are equal in some way or another. All right, so let's talk about you as a writer. Were you a good writer in school? How did you go from this electrician, this tough woman, to this writer?
I did very well in school. I was almost a 4.0. As far as writing, it kind of felt like natural, flowed. It was a creative event that I found comforting. So I've always been at peace with it, whereas other people find it a task. It wasn't until 2009 when I decided, the recession, first long stint of unemployment, where I decided that I needed to go in another direction. So one of which was to continue my education, go back to college, and the other was to write the book. So that's when I decided to put it on paper.
Are you a reader?
Yes.
Readers are leaders. Writers are fighters.
Definitely a fighter.
Yeah. Writers fight for the right to be heard. And that's so important, because writers know they have a story to tell. You have a story to tell. And people out there need to hear that story. You have a laptop?
Yes.
So when do you write? And by the time your day is done, you have to be like, give me a bed, man. Especially on those cold, rainy days. There have to be days like we just went through,
yes,
where it's 0 degrees. By the time you get home, and you just want to be home.
Yes.
When did you write? Do you write in the middle of the night?
I actually started writing when I had a 1-year stint of unemployment. So while I was in that process of waiting for work, I said, let me make use of my time. I always like to make use of my time. So I started writing before I even knew that I could have a means of publishing it. I started to write it, then I stopped. And then once I found out that there was CreateSpace, you could self-publish and have it on Amazon, then I went to town and finished it.
Yeah. Now, you also have a unique situation where you are the head of the household.
Yes.
So family depends on you.
Yes.
This job is very difficult because, man, there are layoffs, especially in this economy. There's tough times. So it's scary. And I give you credit for even trying to do it, because I've seen construction workers spend an entire year waiting to get work, and you've been there too.
Yes. You
used it to write.
And go back to college.
Wonderful. Now, what did you do? Go back to college, learn a new trade, or?
No, I had my associate's degree in business. I had started it many years ago before I even got into my electrical apprenticeship. So once I finished that, I put it on the back burner because I didn't really need it.
Yeah.
Work was in abundance. So once the recession hit, I said, let me go back to school. Let me get my master's. So I got my MBA.
You are something else.
Thank you.
Good education. So, tell me again about how and when you wrote. Did you write these up? Did you have someone to edit it for you? Did you have someone who looked this over for you?
Yes, my editor, Janine Larkin, family friend. She's actually a family member. She did the editing process. I did have a couple people say that they read it, but for the most part, she did the legwork on that, and I thank her for that.
So once you got it all together, now this book is self-published.
Yes.
So you had to get it all together, and you had to decide. Did you get nervous? Did you read it and say, "Wait a minute, I can't put this out there. I'm going to be putting my neck out there by putting this book"? Did you ever consider the risks that those people you work with might say, "Who she thinks she is"?
I've learned, no matter who you are, no matter what you represent, someone's going to have something to say about you. So you're going to have somebody speak about you. So whether or not I put it out or not, it doesn't matter. Someone's still going to say something. So might as well put pen to paper. There's a lot of people, a lot of guys that I work with were excited about it, and they wanted to offer stories too, because this is the first time that their stories actually will become timeless and on paper. So majority of it's been positive feedback. I'm sure I'm going to always get somebody that's going to have something to say, but it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I mean, you're a strong woman and a strong person, and you have something to say, and you intend to say it.
Yes.
So you got it all done. You went through chapter by chapter, looking at it. Hindsight, do you go back and say, I should have covered this, or maybe I shouldn't have covered this?
I would say mostly I feel like I forgot something, and that's why in my next volume, my next book, then I'll be able to cover it.
So there's going to be another volume.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I could see that you intended right from the beginning that this was not going to be the first one. You called it Volume 1.
Yes. You can't possibly get it all in one book.
What will Volume 2 cover that Volume 1 did not cover?
It would cover my early days as a journeywoman. I decided when I worked, I decided to have a second child, and I kept that a secret. So I was doing some of the really hard work outside.
Yeah, wow.
And I kept that a secret. So that journey, I'll talk about that, as well as I had to go work in a jail and had to deal with getting maced and dealing with inmates.
Wow.
So there's a bunch of stories.
Yeah.
There's a lot more stories to tell.
Yeah. So, So you need to tell that story. What is a journeyman?
Journeywoman.
Yep. What? That's a particular.
Once you finish your apprenticeship, you're an apprentice for 5.5 years.
Okay.
I think they have a little extra year now. Now the apprentices also have to get an associate's in labor studies, the new ones coming in. But once you finish all the requirements, then that's your status. You become a journey person.
Wow. So that's what it's called when you're actually a master. When you go from apprenticeship to being a master.
Yeah.
So, but is that an electrical term or a construction term?
I would say it's an electrical term. And then when you become a contractor and you go take the test and get a contractor's license, that's the master's license.
So it's apprentice, journeyman, and master?
Yes, when you become a contractor.
Or contractor.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself going there someday?
I thought about it when I was younger, but I think
there's a lot involved.
There's a lot involved, and your success relies on your worst worker. And, there's a lot of capital that's required. Your workers that have worked for you are going to want to be paid whether or not you actually get paid from the job that you're working on. So there's a lot of stress involved.
You have 2 children?
Yes.
Do you discuss your job with the children?
Yes.
Yeah. How do they feel about it?
My oldest, he's used to the occupation. He's used to the idea. My little guy used to think, oh, well, women aren't supposed to be doing that, or women aren't supposed to have tools.
Yeah. Welcome to the world. A lot of that's learned.
He always tells me that I should be a police officer because I'm very tough.
All right. So we have Volume 1. Volume 2 is already in your head. It's floating around.
Yes.
Have you started it yet?
Yes.
Wow, you have. And hopefully we'll hear that in the writers group.
Yes.
You are a member of our MAPAC writers group,
Yes.
which means you come on Thursday nights, you share your stories with a group, they hear what you have to say. Have you made changes based on some of the things they said?
Actually, that's propelled me to want to start writing it so that I
Wonderful.
can contribute some writing to the group and get feedback.
Do you, somewhere in the back of your brain, see a volume 3?
Yes.
Wow. That's
I
good.
actually have a few retired folks, electricians, that are all on board and they want to deliver some stories. So I'm thinking that Volume 3 might be a collection of stories told by other co-workers.
Wow.
And potentially
Clever.
4 might be told from the eyes of other women from throughout the country.
Well, let me tell you, Miss Leslie, I am proud of you
Thank you.
for being who you are. Don't let any bullies ever tell you how to run your life. Obviously, you don't.
I refuse.
This book has been a treat, and it will be a treat for you as well. So I am urging you to go ahead and read Leslie's story, learn Leslie's story. Know that it doesn't matter if you're black or white or green, young or old. Don't let any bully tell you how to run your life. It's your life. You live it the way you want to live it. Leslie, thank you so much for being here with us.
It's my pleasure.
It has been my pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Keep in mind that you can see this on TV. You can see it online. Thank you for being with us. As we roll the credits.